For more than 40 years, the New People's Army in the Philippines have been fighting to overthrow the government. Here on the island of Mindoro, these dense jungle mountains were the backdrop to countless raids, ambushes, and murders. Join us for a story about how God used Adventist World Radio to turn hatred and vengeance to forgiveness and redemption.
Hi, I'm Cammie, and this is AWR360.
Due to increasing unrest, the Philippine Army have been deployed to this region of Mindoro, seeking to rid the mountains of these feared NPA fighters. Alongside his commander, Jimmy, a soldier in the Philippine Armed Forces, encountered dangerous conflicts initiated by the NPA terrorist group. Through their experiences together, Jimmy fostered a deep sense of respect and camaraderie as he worked alongside his commander. One day, Jimmy's military group was traveling deep into the jungle. Although there had been reports of the New People's Army in this area, they felt relatively safe. However, they were being watched by a rebel. But not just any rebel. This was Gilbert, one of the most notorious and deadly assassins in the country. Years of training, hatred, raids, and fights had turned Gilbert into a seasoned warrior. He was agile, swift, and extremely strong. These mountains were his home, and he knew how to move through them, leaving no trace. The government soldiers knew that if there was anything or anyone to be afraid of, it was Gilbert. Gilbert takes aim. A gunshot rings out. The commander falls dead. Gilbert rushes and escapes deep into the jungle. Jimmy, grieving the loss of his commander, vowed to kill Gilbert to avenge his commander's death. God saw what was happening and longed for both of them to be saved. It was around this time that Adventist World Radio began to broadcast messages of God's love into this region. The days were long and boring, so groups of NPA fighters and soldiers tuned their radios, seeking something to pass the time. Adventist messages of peace and forgiveness began to be heard, crackling over radio speakers at terrorist outposts scattered across these mountains. As the days turned into weeks, a shift began to take place in Gilbert's men. They decided to surrender and leave their life of killing behind. As Gilbert continued to listen, he was convinced that he needed to do the same. Jimmy had begun to listen to the radio as well. He was bitter and angry towards the NPA fighters. But as he continued listening to AWR, he learned about the story of Jesus, who came to earth, served others selflessly, and forgave his own crucifiers. This realization broke his heart and deeply impacted Jimmy. He thought, if Jesus can forgive the people who killed him, maybe I can forgive the killer of my commander too. He delved into studying the Bible and made a life-changing decision to dedicate himself to Christ. Jimmy's life changed so much that he began to share what he had learned with others. Then, in November of 2021, the Adventist World Radio leaders traveled to the island of Mindoro to witness the baptism of hundreds of former rebels There were huge celebrations of this momentous occasion. Gilbert was among this group. He had surrendered his heart and was a changed man. Jimmy also made the difficult decision to forgive Gilbert, and these two former enemies were now reconciled. Over the next few months, more rebels continued to surrender, and one of the men that Jimmy had shared the Bible with was baptized. Then, during the General Conference session in St. Louis, Missouri in 2022, Jimmy was baptized by Dr. Dwayne McKee into the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Jimmy and Gilbert have united in their mission to share what they have learned with others across the country. Through the ministry of Adventist World Radio, they have discovered their new battlefield. They have set down their guns and picked up Bibles and have become soldiers of Christ. Isn't God amazing? The ministry of AWR truly knows no walls, no borders, and no limits. Won't you join us in spreading the message of Christ's soon return to many more people around the world, just like Jimmy? Thank you for your generous support of Adventist World Radio.
From broadcast to baptism, this is AWR 360.